Thank you to Ane for inviting me, and thank you to Alexander, who was speaking before me. It's been very interesting to watch the film and to listen to the words. I am here as a dropout from the art world. And I'm also here because Ane is making her project about begging and about the Roma. It was really interesting to hear Alexander's talk, and I really just want to share with you one small art piece that I really enjoy. And it has a really interesting background. I saw it on a television program some months ago. And it was about this kind of proto-hippie movement in Germany leading up towards the First World War. People they were nudists and they were vegetarian and pacifist people. They were dropouts. And when the war was coming, they had to flee. So a lot of these people flew to America. And there's a cultural history, actually them initiating the hippie culture in America. Very interesting. But one of the the pearls, the products from this movement is this beautiful song. It's called Nature Boy, and it was made popular by Nat King Cole. And I just want to play it to you, just as a compliment to the theme of this evening.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, a magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
It's really nice artwork in my mind, and there are hope for dropouts. So I really want to try to I think I will start by just explaining a little bit about what Folka Folk, the organization that I'm a leader and spokesperson for, what we are doing. And then maybe get into some kind of thoughts about art and things like that. I'm not sure about that. But I'll just start with explaining about what we're doing in Folka Folk and how I view these things. And I'll just be precise that I feel that I'm invited here as a private person and a next artist. And when I speak, I'm not speaking on behalf of my organization. I want to show you another film, just to give you some idea about what we're doing.
If there are like 100 sellers and they all have my phone numbers, come. I'm waiting for you, please come. I'm here, come, where are you? They call you every second to see what you do. If you're on the toilet, you're shitting now, you're peeing now, you're eating now. What are you doing? Come, come. They call you for simple chat. How are you, boss? I'm okay, my friend. Yes, this is Folka Folk, my name is Mark. Păi Sofienberg se numește. I believe he will be released as well. Hai că vorbesc cu el. Ok, see you soon. Bye bye. Am întrebat personal și mi-au zis. Acolo în Drammen unde? Da, Sofienberg. Ellen, do you have any idea about speed limits, fine? Fuck.
This is Mark. He's our house distributor of street magazines.
I'm from Romania and I'm working for Folka Folk. In this organization I'm multitasking. I do a lot of things. Whatever problems arises, they call me. Currently I'm in charge of the distribution of the magazines.
Și stai, treabă cu Steiner, pe brun, cu ăsta, unde când era ziar de alea albe. Iar pe internet, voi vrei, stai iar pe internet.
Richard, good.
Deci, stimați, nu pot să fac, uite cât...
Ce papa mea, mă, până mâine. Marc, deci acum treci alte cărți. Spirul Georgian.
You called me. Yes, you did. Release from the police. We meet and we discuss it. She doesn't know how to find a way against Roma. Curând o să fie lângă mine, de ce? When I get really stressed with all these phones, after a wave of like few hours, then I have this stress with the phones vibrating in my pockets, even though it's not vibrating, and I hear them ringing, but they are not ringing. If I hear a soundtrack that remotely has something similar with my ringtone, with my phone ringtone, I feel like my phone is ringing, but it's not. Whenever people are calling regarding Roma, police are there quite fast. It's a challenge to deal with the police.
Vi fikk bare melding om at det var noen som holdt på med noe falske ID-kort med meg. Så det er årsaken til at vi kommer hit.
Dette er ekte ID-kort.
Så bra. Nei, men det er greit. Da har vi egentlig fått oppklart det vi lurte på.
Kjempebra.
Ha det bra.
Betea. Jon Betea, han har vært i Norge i 2 år sammen med sønnen sin. De har solgt gatemagasinet Folk er folk i disse 2 årene. Han har langt fremstredende strupekreft. Kan nesten ikke få fram en lyd. Det går mot slutten. Og han vil hjem for å dø. Så brutalt kan det sies.
Folk. Oh, this is the new issue. Yeah, I think it's good here. The new regulations from the government against Roma makes the police pressure them and harass them daily as a routine. Sometimes they are just being forced to sign things, and then we have big problems. If whatever is broken in this organization, they call me. You really need to have some will to do it. Some motivation that just comes from your soul.
Yes, that was Mark. He's our house distributor, and that means that he distributes our magazines to sellers in the street, but also to external distributors. But as you see, he's a multitasker. He helps people with doctor, with dentist, with lawyers, with all kinds of problems that people have. Just to shortly describe, I got some questions from Arne on the email about talking points. We started out, basically Folk er Folk started out as a group of friends and acquaintances in February 2012. And basically we discovered that not only were there a kind of systematic destructive activity going on against the Roma in the street. Example from my city, Oslo, the authorities had a special group of garbage workers, and their only task is really just to find the places where they hide their stuff and throw it away. Their mattresses, you know. And the other thing that we discovered was that, and this was kind of shocking, and this is another talking point. What is the image of Norway that I have seen from my work? And this is that really what we discovered was that the NGOs in Norway, the help organizations, Kirkens Bymisjon, Frelsesarmeen, they didn't do anything. On the contrary, they closed their doors to these people. There was already what I as a citizen, I believed that there were, like, if you were in the street, you got help. There was some basic kind of help. But when we started, there was actually an apartheid in this system. They only let in Norwegian drug addicts. Actually, they let in Norwegians, because they let in the mentally ill Norwegians too. But they didn't let in the foreigners. So there was on the bottom, on the NGO help system, there was an apartheid. And the authorities were actively trying to chase these people out of the country. That's what we saw. So, so basically, and then very fast, we discovered that our heads were filled with myths about the Zigeuner and who these people were. Really filled with myths. And that the realities, when we started to check scientific sources, that this was not, the images that we had in our heads were not correct. They didn't have begging as a culture. They were not nomads. They were landless agricultural workers, actually, if you want to define them. So basically, we just started out like that. We put our newfound knowledge on flyers, and we understood we understood that we have to help these people. We have to do something, because if you go and say hello to them, they will throw their problems in your lap because they don't have any solution for their problems. It's toothaches, it's medical problems, it's all kind of problems. And of course, the problem of their mattresses being thrown away by the authorities. So what we did was, we decided what we want to do is to buy tents. We go in the street, we collect money, we distribute flyers, and we buy tents. And we teach them to use the forest in the vicinity of the metro stations. That was the first idea. And that's what we did. And we found out it was problematic to communicate. We didn't have a common language. We tried to give away tents. We tried to communicate our idea about using the forest, but it was complicated. So we decided to use some of the money we collected and engage them, pay them to go with us and distribute flyers and collect money. So that's how the whole thing started. And some people noticed this because we were actually alone. We were really alone at this point in time. But we did notice that some people had been waiting for something to happen. Because remember, now we are in February 2012, and this group of people has been here since 2006, right? So we get some media attention, we get some commentators in the media writing really nice about this. They're really interested. But in the same spring, something really interesting happens, and which I really want to make a point of, because now we have a blue government, as we call it in Norway. At this point, we had what we call the red-green government. But this spring of 2012, there was initiated a policy in Norway from the government. There was an instruction going from the Minister of Justice to the police, and she wrote this openly in a newspaper, Kronikk. And this is actually the Norwegian government initiating a plan to combat trafficking. And the Norwegian government is obligated to the UN system to report on their progress. So this spring they initiated a plan to combat trafficking in Norway. And how to fight trafficking in Norway was to ask the police, order the police to use the Public Law and Order Acts in the law and stretch these possibilities in this law to the maximum to throw the Roma out of Norway, to fight trafficking. And this is very interesting because this is the theory of the Gypsy King manipulating his gypsy slaves to beg so that he can build palaces. And this has actually been the premise of Norwegian policy towards the Romanian Roma. Not initiated by the blue government presently, but initiated the spring of 2012 by the Labour Party. And I know that I guess that a lot of you people here, you really, when you walk past the beggar, you really wonder if the money is going in the beggars or if it is taken by some mafia type. This has settled down as an automatic thought in Norway. But in other countries, this is not the case. In other countries, this is exposed as a racist, anti-Ziganist, anti-Gypsy myth. All researchers, the conclusions of international research concludes that trafficking is not the case with the Roma begging in the streets of Western Europe. This is the conclusion. But in Norway, this is a premise. So this decision by the Norwegian government in spring of 2012 resulted in a huge police project, which was really about running these people out of town, of our capital, and out of the country. And I will show you another film just about this topic. And this film is from May 2012. It would be nice to have a full screen, but I don't know how to do it. If I could get some help. And this is in Norwegian. Shall I explain in English while we're watching it, or what should I do? Okay, thank you.
I den siste tida så har vi sett økende politiaktivitet på gata. Regjeringen kaller dette her for intensivert kamp mot menneskehandel, og de har bedt politiet om å bruke ordenslovverket i påvente av mer målrettet lovgivning. Det vil si tiggeforbud i en eller annen form. Folk har nå jobbet i flere uker med å dokumentere hva som faktisk skjer på gata, og bistår nå i anmeldelse over 30 forhold. Dette bare toppen av isfjellet.
Am stat acolo pe piatră, într-o zi de sâmbătă era discotecă, stăteam pe piatră acolo, la pădure. Eram cu 6, încă 5 persoane și cu mine 6. Și mai era femeia care e operat. Încă eram care e cu ochiul așa. 8 persoane era. Și ne-a luat poliția, am plecat să văd și s-a luat după mine și ne-a pus în mașină cu alea 6 persoane care am, eu și încă 5. Și ne-am pus pe plâns. Unii duce, că auzeam că ne ducem în pădure și ne las. Și am făcut un mare stres. Când a văzut că țipăm și zberăm și batem în mașină, ne-a dat jos, dacă am, cum să zic, eu, că am mers 2 km, 3 cu noi. Și apoi ne-a dat jos. Și ne-am pus pe plâns. Atunci am avea fără de la inimă, dacă nu aveam pastilă puteam să mor. Ne-a făcut un mare stres. Ne ia hainele, le ia bagajul, ne lasă în câmp, ne gonește. Ne scoală de la ora 3 la 12, la 1 din noapte când le vine ne scoală. Ne uiduie.
Det vi ser er at politiet ikke bare bruker lovverket, men også bryter loven over en lav sko. I sin iver etter å jage romfolket ut av landet. Den politiske diskusjonen om de fattige utlendingene på gata i Norge i dag er basert på eldgamle rasistiske myter fra Øst-Europa. De sier at sigøynere ikke gidder å jobbe, at de foretrekker å tigge. Tigging er kultur. Det er bakmenn bak som bygger palasser. Dette er ikke kunnskapsbasert politikk. All forskning tilsier at dette er fattige mennesker som er på flukt fra økonomisk nød og diskriminering i hjemlandet. Pengene de samler inn eller tjener, går til skolegang, går til strømregninger, til helsehjelp.
Sunt din România, mă cheamă Viorica și am venit în Norvegia, locuiesc în Oslo, ca să câștig și eu bani. Ori prin muncă, ori prin ceșit, pentru că în România viața este foarte, foarte grea. Am 6 copii, mi-a murit bărbatul, n-am nicio sursă de trai. Am fost bolnavă de cancer, m-am operat de cancer. Și am venit pentru un trai mai bun aici în Norvegia. Puteți să-i traduceți acum.
Am luat după piatră, ne-a ridicat în mașină 6 persoane, stăteam pe o piatră caldă că era o zăpadă și ploua. Ne-a luat, ne-a ridicat în mașină și ne-a dus unde era o parte, o tablat de gâște și o biserică mare, o mănăstire acolo, cimitir ce era pe acolo. Și ne-a zis ca să luăm câte o gâscă de acolo, să tiem și să mâncăm.
Am fost acolo pe piatră să mă încălzesc, a fost frig și m-a luat de pe piatră și m-a pus în mașină. Atâta tot.
În timpul acela a venit o mașină cu 2 polițiști, era o polițistă femeie și unul bărbat. Fiind o mai cunoștea, deci ne-a spus că ce facem acolo, noi în timpul ăla știut, pentru că cunoșteam că vrea să ne ia și să ne ducă în altă parte, în afara orașului. Și în timpul acela noi am fugit, ei s-au luat după noi și ne-au prins. Și eu am zis, ce vrei să faci cu noi? Că nu am făcut nimic rău. Vrem să vă ducem afară din Oslo. Păi am zis, din ce cauză? Pentru că nu are rost ca voi să stați în Oslo, ca voi să veniți să stați în Norvegia. Nu e pentru voi Norvegia. Și eu am zis, din ce cauză? Pentru că noi suntem săraci. Din cauza asta venim în Norvegia. Și el atunci m-a luat cu forța, m-a luat de umeri și m-a băgat exact în mașină, și pe mine și pe soț și altul 4 persoane, pentru că atâta mergeau, 6 persoane în mașină. Ne-a luat, ne-a dus pe drumul de 18, în drumul spre Suedia, la vreo 10-15 km afară din Oslo, și ne-au lăsat la urmă la fiecare la câte un kilometru. Și eu când m-a dat pe mine prima dată jos, am zis, din ce cauză ne maltratezi și și-ți bagi joc de noi în halul ăsta. Ei au spus, pentru că nu sunteți norvegieni, sunteți români. Vrem să plecați din tot sufletul din Oslo. Și el a început să râdă și pe mine m-a lăsat plângând, pentru că nu știam încotro să mă iau.
Disse menneskene er faktisk EU-borgere med rettigheter, og de kommer ikke til å forsvinne ved å bli tråkka på. Nå mener vi at det er på tide at vi søker kunnskapsbaserte og konstruktive løsninger.
Yeah. So this is May 2012. The police harassment has been, there is a police campaign going on against these people, and we are making, I think, 25 complaints to the special police the special police who investigate the police at this point in time. And they are describing being driven, their stuff is stolen by the police, their personal belongings, and thrown away in the garbage. And several cases described where they're being driven out of town and just left in the countryside somewhere, which is an old police tactic that has been used against drug addicts, for example, before, but which is illegal. This is May 2012, and then in July 2012, these people are so tired, they are desperate, and we support them going to a church in Oslo and ask to have some kind of asylum in the courtyard of the church. And they are welcome by the priest. They are complaining, they are making a specific complaint against the police that they can't sleep. They are sleep deprived by the police campaign. And this turns into a huge media circus in Norway. Very fast turns into some kind of tabloid zoo thing with continuous filming by major TV stations and stuff like that. And interestingly, the Labour Party, the government party, speaks for the first time, except for their announcing their fight against trafficking. The former cultural minister, actually, Taja Hajek, she goes in the media and says the police is not hard enough. That was the only signal from the red-green government. I just want to point this out because people forget fast. One of the things that Roma especially, and a lot of other foreigners also, are denied to do in Norway is to sell street magazines. In civilized countries, you have anybody in the street can sell a street magazine. In England, it's like this. In Germany, in Sweden. But in Norway, you have to be a Norwegian drug addict to sell a street magazine. So that's why we, in the summer of 2012, we said, why don't we just make our own? So that's what we did. And it started out as a fanzine on a Xerox copy, black and white Xerox copy machine. And it developed into our biggest project. Yeah, we cannot see all of it here, maybe. How can I move it? Here I can move it. Yeah. That's our last issue down on the top left corner. Again, I would like to say that it's been a really interesting experience selling this magazine. You saw in the movie what happens when we're distributing ID cards to our sellers. This is every day. Every day. And actually, I was involved in launching a street magazine in England 1 year ago. And I was working with facilitating the sale of this street magazine in England. And it was a total cultural shock for me, actually, because I'd been working with this for 1.5 years in Norway. And I am used to our sellers being chased by the police. I'm used to them being arrested. And this has become a kind of normality. And I'm used to writing letters to police, never getting an answer. And then I went to England. And I did the same job in England in this November, December last year, contacting municipalities in I think 5 or 6 different English cities, contacting in several cities every police station. A huge number of contacts. And what I discovered, what I experienced was they were to the finger points correct in their ways, in their attitudes. We were selling this street magazine intensively in England for a month. We sold 5,000 issues. And in this period, there was one seller who was taken to the police station. I wrote them an email. And after a few days, I got a thorough answer explaining that they were really sorry that they had harassed our seller, that every police officer in the area was now properly informed, and that this would not happen again. And this is something that happens all the time in Norway, every day, many times a day. So that's how it is. Yeah, that's really what I really wanted to say. Can I get some help, please? De har skjøvet bort her. Hvordan henter jeg de tilbake? Men hva med den? Jeg hadde en Vimeo-filmer. Hvordan finner jeg den tilbake? Okay. Yeah. So, there's been a long debate in Norway about to make it illegal to beg or not. And this really took off in the summer of 2012. It's kind of interesting. Ane is making a film now just about this subject. She's going to the exhibition is going to take place in, I believe, in late May, June next year. And this is probably the point where the parliament in Norway is going to decide if they want to make it illegal to beg in Norway or not. I want to talk a little bit more informally now, because I try to connect with the kind of the artistic things here. Because the art world can be very closed, like a bubble, and so can be Norwegian life and Norwegian mentality. And I thought I was kind of experienced before I started with folk, but many illusions have been crossed, been destroyed. Very basic assumptions, like we follow rules in this country. And okay, we have so many rules, maybe that's not so good, but we do follow them. But this is not the case. It's not the case with the Roma. The rules are not followed. And there seems to be a kind of consensus, silent consensus in this country, that we are too nice here. We are unprotected. There is somebody who wants to come and take our stuff. And we are really too nice, so we have a silent consensus on how to beat these people. And we do it, collectively. And this happens in all areas. It happens in the medical emergency room. It happens in the banks. People are denied bank accounts. Actually, the Romanian ID card is a top standard ID, national ID card in Europe. It's the latest technology. It's valid all over Europe. It's new technology from 2009. Norwegian banks don't accept it. And the passport is expensive. So nobody has the passport. Just one example. The same with to get a tax card. For more than 1 year, there was part of the Romanian population had a first version of the ID card where it didn't say Romanian, black on white, that they were Romanian citizens. The Norwegian tax office denied all these people, and there were a big portion of them it didn't say they were Romanian citizens. You couldn't read it. The Romanian embassy said, this is valid, everybody accepts this. After about 1 year, it turned out the information was there. It was in a code on the card. It's just another example. And if you don't get a tax card, you don't get a job. If you don't get a bank account, you don't get a tax card. It's illegal discrimination. And combined with the fact that they have these keywords, aggressive begging, they say. They just write it in the log, and everything is okay. They are a nuisance. They are irritating. They disturb my peace. And they are treated like they don't have any rights at all. This is a fact, and it is my experience. And it's shocking, actually. It should be shocking, at least. Yes, so it was very interesting that the two government parties now both had an election promise to ban begging. After the election, they said, "Oh, we're not going to make a national ban. We're going to let the municipalities ban it instead." Even though they had the majority, they could do it. They didn't do it. Why not? And actually, they pushed pretty hard on the municipalities in Norway to ban begging. They even before this law was decided in the parliament, the police directorate sent out an instruction to the municipalities how to do it, in the hope that the municipalities would do it really fast. But suddenly people were afraid. There was something not right here. If the government could make a national ban, why didn't they do it? And 1 year later, there is only one municipality in Norway who has done it. And this is Arendal. And the general ban on begging is going to be effective on Monday, the 10th, in Arendal. And this goes a little bit back also to the bubble of Norway. We think that we are the kindest country in the world. We are so nice that we are too nice. That's why they come here to suck our blood. We are too nice. And other countries, they are more realistic than us. So there's a lot of begging bans. They don't accept this in other countries. I think this is ideas that a lot of Norwegians have, that Norway is one of the few countries of Europe that still allow begging. That's how naive we are. But this is not the case at all. The contrary is the case. There is almost no Western European countries who has a ban on begging. And especially not a new ban on begging. There are two countries with old bans, ancient bans from the 19th century. This is Denmark and England. But they don't punish people for begging. They punish people for being disorderly in the street. People are not punished for begging. And why is this? What? What? Okay. This is because begging is actually protected by freedom of expression. This is a very new thought in Norway, that this can actually be the case. But if we look outside, this is actually the case in America. Begging is protected. Why? Because it is practicing freedom of expression. Begging is an expression. It is to say with action, I am in need, please help me. It's very simple if you start to think about it. Begging is an expression. It's even popular. That's why we have a law to protect it. It's even unpopular. That's why we have laws to protect it. Right? So, of the two in Europe, in Western Europe, there have been two attempts which has been in the public debate in Norway of begging bans that we have kind of modeled ourselves on. It's in Austria and in Holland. But in Austria, the High Court struck it down. They said you cannot ban begging because it's protected by freedom of speech. And it's indirect discrimination against the Roma. This is what the High Court in Austria ruled. And in Holland, the politicians withdrew. They withdrew the whole project as soon as they got resistance from lawyers. So this is the international situation. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Norwegian government has the I don't find the word in English. Frekkhet. What? The rudeness or the, if they really dare to do this. And they will have to vote about it just when Arne's exhibition is just at the vernissage time, There's going to be a vote in the parliament. And it's going to be a big embarrassment for Norway. I hope that Norway will open its eyes and see this coming. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bjønnulv. We have time for a few questions if there is questions to Bjønnulv now.
I wonder about the situation now for Roma people in Norway. Are there coming more people, or what is the kind of statistics on it? Or is it like it's getting more and more difficult to be a Roma in Norway, so they are actually getting less? And if the policy is to kind of make it very hard to be a beggar in Norway, is it working? I mean, all these things that you tell us about, that they drive people out of the country, etc. And also, if they can actually make money here, if it's possible for them, if it's better for them to be here, and how the situation develops.
Yes. First of all, there's never been many Romanian Roma, which is the group we're talking about in Norway. There's just a few thousand. I mean, it's a big country. So, and that's part of the myth. It's an invasion, right? An explosion, an invasion. This is bullshit. There has been some developments until about 2012. Most of them were in Oslo. And of course also in big cities like Bergen there were a few. But really the reaction on the police harassment has been for people to go outside, those who can, those who have cars. So now they're all over the country, but very few. You know, in a city like Gjøvik, for example, there might be 6, 7. It's a city of, 20,000 people. In Drammen, 60,000 people living there is maybe like 30 people, So it's not a huge amount of people. And how to say it, there's a market for begging, and there's a market for street magazines, And of course, there is a supply of plastic bottles that you can exchange for 1 krone or 2 kroner in the shop. These are pretty constant, but there are changes. And from my point of view, what was really interesting is to see how the Norwegians act, which I've actually gotten scientific, backing on, showing famous social psychological investigations showing that Norwegians are extremely conform people. And how we see this is, for example, when Høyre decided to go for a ban on begging in the spring of 2012, this had a huge impact on how much money the beggars got. So these actions now, we are just anticipating a ban on begging, and this is very destructive on the market. People give less because they anticipate a ban. So many people who have been in Norway go to Sweden, for example. They get less money in the street, but they get a lot better treatment from the authorities.
Thank you very much for your presentation. My question is, do you guys collaborate? I mean, you and Kunsthalle and maybe others, in order to use the film that is being produced now as one tool to intervene into this debate and work on the public consciousness on this vote?
Maybe that's a question for Arne, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this is one of the opportunities to at least talk about this issue. What I found most interesting with Folk er Folk when it came in 2012, I think, was that I experienced that people who I had just passed were suddenly getting attention in a way. And for me it was interesting because I could see that I myself had actually also been among the people who just passed them, and in a way didn't really look at them as people, like you and me. So I think for me this was a very important and a very important moment to realize your own prejudice in a way. So I think that it would be great if the film could have some kind of impact, and I think for us in the crew it has had a great impact already because we actually get to know people, Roma people, in a totally different way, which is very, very rewarding, I think. And I think we have also discussed this, that we should try to highlight, because exactly what you say, that the vernissage is at the same time as the whole debate on the ban. So we should definitely try to do something around that.
May I quickly react? I just want to react because if we're talking about the political possibilities that art might have, this is, for example, one, and it's one that, if I may say so, you guys don't use, and usually we don't use it. But there's a project being done. There's a institution behind it. There's networks existing. So the worst thing to do is to do it on the day of the voting. The best thing you could possibly do is do it a few weeks before that, in order to get some influence on the public opinion. And I don't understand why we art worlders don't behave strategically like all the other people do. And this is why we always lose and they always win. Because, I'm sorry to say this, but I really want to be clear. You're making an art project and you're not doing anything to do any lobbyism on the subject matter that you engage for. You just let it, I mean, nobody here you need to convince. Yeah? So this debate doesn't bring anything. It has zero influence on the social reality. But indeed, you have the means at hand to play a role in the public debate, and you don't do it, and I don't understand this. And I think we should change our own mentalities and our working methods also, and actually collaborate with dropouts and non-dropouts in order to get that strategy up. Sorry, but I think there's an opportunity here, and you're not taking it.
I have to answer that. She has the chance to take the opportunity. The project is just starting. She has all the chances to take this opportunity. She's starting her project right now. And I welcome this. You are prejudiced now. You have a bad experience from the art world, I think.
No, we're just not using our opportunities enough, that's all.
I welcome it.
Actually, it's true what you say, because I have several experiences on works or exhibitions about education, about city planning, etc. And they are always well timed. But I think that you cannot blame the artist for this, but the institutions, because as an artist, you are just sucked up in your projects, and I have absolutely no way of doing more than I do at the time. But it's the institutions that somehow relate to their usual audience, I think, and who are maybe not capable, I don't know, or maybe not don't have enough resources, or I don't know, but they somehow they make an exhibition about education in exactly the same time as we debate, for example, PISA tests and national testing, you know, and this is a huge issue in Norway. But the institution is not really able to connect to that debate. They somehow just send out the invitations to their crowd, and the crowd comes, and everyone agrees that it's an important exhibition, etc. And then everything goes on as usual. So it's like the art world has a huge problem when it comes to this. I agree.
Maybe I should also comment on. I also think that you're making a very interesting or valid point. There's a lot probably to be said about that. But as Bjønnulv said, the project, in this case, specific case, the project is just starting. And this forum here, this platform, is one way of opening up the discussion while the project is being developed, instead of only presenting the art project as an art piece at the end of a project. But this is something that we, of course, discuss a lot, and I think you're pointing to a real problem and dilemma for a lot of art institutions to reach. I mean, we're not political lobbyists, but we have these opportunities to have impact. So I think we have to move on to the next talk. But thank you again, Bjønnulv.